Here at St Matthew's Church we have 3 war memorials and also connect with a 4th. Our first memorial is the St Clement's Chapel, which was reordered to be a war memorial. We also have a wayside pulpit and war memorial halfway down the church steps to the town centre. The third war memorial are the bells in our tower, which were recast as a memorial after the First World War. But we also have, just opposite the church, the town council's memorial gardens. 4 war memorials that tell of the cost to Walsall in lives of people who have died in war. So let us pay our respects to them as we remember that terrible cost. Let us remember before God and commend to his safekeeping those who have died and who suffer in war, those who we knew and whose memory we treasure, and all who have lived and died in the service of people of the world.
They grow not old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Today there are very few people alive who were directly involved in active service during the Second World War, and there is nobody from the First World War. Although there have been many wars since, and it's right to remember them too, this gap in years means that there has become a distancing for many people in this country from the massive and terrible impact of war. In many respects, for some people, it is now a very impersonal remembrance, although still recognised to be very, very important. But we must never lose sight of the actual fact that war is not impersonal. It is intensely personal. It involves people fighting and dying. People dying whose lives meant something and were important to those who knew them. People dying who had dreams and ambitions that extended beyond the war. People dying who had friends and neighbours in the streets where they grew up and lived and worked. That sense of personal memory became particularly real to me a few years back. It was when we remembered the centenary of the end of the First World War. Purely coincidentally, in the weeks before Remembrance Sunday that year, one of our church wardens came across a book in our church safe. The book was an old exercise-type book that you bought in a local shop, like a post office. But inside the book were not just the names of the people on the war memorial. It also contained their addresses, houses where people are still living today, and where someone who died in the First World War or the Second World War once lived. The impersonal becoming personal. Many people see God as impersonal, but Christians believe God is very much interested in each and every person. He is a personal God who came to earth in the person of Jesus Christ. In the Christian faith, remembering is important. We may forget people who have died, but God doesn't forget. And the central service of the Church of England is based around an act of remembering a sacrifice, remembering Jesus dying on the cross once and for all. And in some respects, Jesus dying on the cross reflects a promise from the prophet Isaiah in chapter 43, a promise made many centuries before Jesus was born, a promise made by God to his people. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. And Isaiah goes on to say, we are precious and honoured in God's sight, and he loves us. God is not distant. He is not far off. He knows us by name. He is personal. And he knows everyone who has died in every war by name, and they are precious to him. He will remember them. We will remember them.